Father Vogel, we continue our series on St. John Baptiste de La Salle's Meditations in Time of Retreat. We are in the 15th meditation on the reward that those can expect, even in this life, who have instructed children and have fulfilled this duty well. So we're on to the second point. The first set of rewards that he talked about was the rewards of being filled with a greater abundance of God's grace, as well as being given a wider responsibility in the salvation of souls when we are faithful to using the gifts and the talents that he's given to us. So now in this second point, he's going to continue in another reward that we will receive even in this life. Another reward in this life which they receive who work for the salvation of souls is the consolation they have to see God served well by those whom they have instructed, and that their work has not been useless, but served to save those whom they were called upon to instruct. So, a reward that we get to see is how God works in and through not only ourselves, but through the students that we're instructing. We get to see God working in so many different ways. It is in this spirit that St. Paul writes to the Corinthians, to whom he preached the gospel, that he has begotten them in Jesus Christ, and that they are his work in our Lord. Similarly, he finds joy in learning of their goodwill, and this is what makes him boast about them, because many persons have been stirred by their zeal. He adds that he hopes that the increase of their faith will attain so much glory that it will extend farther and farther to win souls through the proclamation of the gospel. Yet it is in our Lord that he boasts. It is only in Jesus Christ, he says, that I lay hold to some glory for what I have done for God. So he uses the example of St. Paul, who in a few places begins to boast, he says. But he's boasting not in himself, but in the work that God has done. Not only the work that God has done through him, but also looking at those individuals, like, for example, he says in the Corinthians, that the people living there in Corinth, of how God has transformed and began to work through their lives, and how the gospel is being spread by them. So he has no jealousy in thinking, oh, I'm the one who has to be in the spotlight. I'm the one who has to do it all. But no, the beauty of being able to pass it on to the coming generations of disciples and to be able to witness the good work and that they are beginning to do as well. Yet he boasts always in the Lord. The Lord is the one who is doing the work. So he doesn't see himself as any greater than any of the other apostles, but he can really give God glory for what he sees working in those that he has taught the faith. It was then the spread of God's glory by the preaching of the gospel that made up all the consolations of this great apostle. And this must be yours as well, to make God and his Son Jesus Christ known to the flock confided to you. Oh, what glory for you to have this resemblance to that chosen vessel of election. With joy, then, say as he does, that the greatest cause of your joy in this life is to proclaim the gospel free of charge, without having it cost anything to those who hear it. It is indeed a great glory for you to instruct your disciples about the truths of the gospel solely for the love of God. It was this thought that made the teacher of the nations always find consolation, and according to the testimony he has given, filled him with overflowing joy in the midst of his afflictions. You too must consider it great reward for yourselves, the consolation you feel at the bottom of your hearts, that the children whom you instruct are well behaved, know the religion well, and live a life of piety. Thank God with all your heart for all these kinds of rewards that he gives you in advance in this life. So that's something for us to reflect upon, is how is God working through our students? How are their lives being transformed, or how do we see them living out as disciples and sharing the faith in different ways outside of school, on their own, in their families, in the communities? That is part of the consolation that we get to receive as teachers, to see God's work working through them. God bless.